What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. It's Rockin' Jonathan, and I'm here back for another album review. And in today's review, we're going to be continuing the Red discography, so we're going to be looking at their 4th studio album, and it's called Release the Panic. So Release the Panic was a follow-up to Until We Have Faces, which was 2 years before in 2011. And it saw them, changing things a little bit up a bit, but still keeping that, unique Red sound. And if you haven't checked out my review for that album, definitely check it out. And we see that Red wanted to try new things. So what I mean by new things is that they wanted to, have a fresh start, try some new things, experiment. And they also, of course, they got a new producer, and his name is Howard Benson. Now, if you don't know Howard Benson, he's a pretty famous producer, actually. And he's produced like Flyleaf albums, My Chemical Romance, All That Remains, and Red, of course, as well. And we see that, a lot of people don't really like Howard Benson that much. I mean, he's done some great work in the past, but I guess he's known for mainly, taking great rock bands and making them into more mainstream pop rock albums, and bands, and putting like, weird kind of production choices and stuff like that. And so he's very notorious for that, and a lot of people were probably kind of nervous when they saw that he was going to be working on this album. Now, when this album was released, if you're a Red fan, you know how much a lot of hardcore Red fans were not pleased with this album. They really thought it was definitely a big step back from their first 3 albums, and they just thought Red was going in the wrong direction, and pretty much they blamed the producer Howard Benson on this. But in my opinion, now that it's been over 4 years since this album has been released, and of course I didn't become a Red fan until late 2015 and early 2016, listening through this album, I really don't see as much of a change as people make it out to be. Now, what I mean by saying that is, in my opinion, I don't really see a huge departure with the band's sound from this album and the past 3 albums. Mainly the big differences I see with this album is that there's less strings, more electronics, different production work, of course a different producer, and the songs are less heavy, not as, intense as the ones from the past 3 albums. And that's not to say it's a bad thing, in my opinion. I think Michael Barnes, his voice is still there, so I don't see why people say this is really not Red, only other than the instrumentation, because Michael Barnes' vocals are just as phenomenal as they were in the first 3, in my opinion. Some of his best vocal performances to date are on this album, of course, and yeah, I don't really see all the hate for it. Now, this album is not perfect by any means, so don't think that I'm trying to protect everything that this band does just because I love them so much. And obviously there's no perfect band, of course I'm going to have criticisms of them somewhere. And I'm just trying to say that this album is a lot better than what people make it out to be. The people that call it, garbage, sellout material, that stuff like that, it's just, I think of it as being pathetic, Why would you waste your time commenting something as idiotic as that? I mean, the band is going to try new things. Don't think that they're going to do the same End of Silence every single time that they release an album. It's just not going to happen. It's never happened with the band in history. The Beatles changed things up. Led Zeppelin, Linkin Park of all bands, Linkin Park changed every single album. They did something differently, and all people complained about was that they just wanted Hybrid Theory back. And it's like, guys, just stop complaining, and if you don't like it, that's fine, but it's just gotten to the point it's been ridiculous. With that being said, let's get into this review, and as always with these special album reviews, I'm going to be going track by track and giving you my individual thoughts on each song. First up, we got Release the Panic, which is the title track, and this one starts out with a bang, just like all the other Red openers. This one's no exception. I love the way it starts out with that cool drum line, and then it goes into the cool bass line afterwards, and then it leads right into Michael screaming, and then the guitar work goes in, and it pretty much stays consistent throughout the whole song. And Michael shows off his range in this one too. He sings in the verses and sings a little bit in the bridge, and then he screams pretty much for most of the remainder of the song. And while the lyrics are not really amazing in this one, I think they really just play a part with being how frantic and panicky how the song is, and I guess that's why it's called Release the Panic. But this is a really great one to open off the album. I really love this one. Definitely one of the best ones on the album. Next up we got Perfect Life, and this is one of the singles and one of the more popular songs off the album. I remember listening to this one when I first started listening to Red. I really liked this one. I didn't remember coming back to it just because I was so into A Beauty and Rage. But listening to this one now, I really agree with a lot of people liking this one. It's very catchy, very upbeat. Love the guitar line in this one, the bass line, and I love Michael Barnes' vocals. But above it all, I really love the lyrics. The song is mainly talking about a person that really wants to have a perfect life. They want, like in the chorus it says, nothing wrong, nothing real inside. And Michael's singing about, you know, someone that really wants to strive for all that money and fame, but it's not going to get you anywhere, really. It's not going to fill that void inside, obviously. And this is a more Christian message for sure. I can definitely see the Christian values in this one. It's talking about, you know, the morals of people, good versus evil and stuff, but in a more catchy and radio-friendly way. I really love the way Red did this one. And, of course, Michael Barnes sounds great on this one. The lyrics stand out very much, and this is another great one on the album. Alright, next up is Die For You, and this is another one of the shorter songs. It's under 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And this is another one I really wasn't that familiar with. I remember listening to it a couple times back in the day, but I probably didn't like it, so that's why I don't remember it much. But this song is actually very interesting in the fact that it's a lot different from what Red was doing, you know, in all of Red's discography. This is a song that I think is very different from the rest of the album, in the sense that it's got way more electronics. The guitar work is very much more radio friendly, I guess, and Michael Barnes kind of takes a different approach on the vocals. I mean, he's still singing, of course, it still sounds like him, but it sounds a little bit different from what you would expect, and the lyrical content is very different from what you expect from Red. This one really has like a groovy mood to it, you know, because of the catchiness of the guitar and the drums. While it not being very mind-blowing, it's very much more simple than anything that Red has done. But it still kind of works very well. And I noticed there's a guitar solo in this song. It's sad I didn't notice until listening to this album recently. And it's actually very good, you know. I didn't think, you know, Red would actually put a guitar solo in songs, but I guess Howard Benson, you know, he wanted them to put something in there. And it sounds pretty good, even though it's pretty short. I like the lyrical content in the song, too. It's talking about, you know, being there for somebody even though they hate you. I guess it's kind of like a, you know, Christian type of message too. I kind of noticed that. It's very different from what Red was doing in the, you know, past 3 albums. And I think they did it very well on this one. I like the lyrics in this one. But, you know, I'm not really crazy about the ending of this song. That's probably my only complaints about this one. It's kind of middle of the road. I have to be in the right mood to be listening to it. But overall, it's a pretty solid song on this album. Up next is Damage, and this is definitely one of the heaviest songs on the album. I love how the guitar work and the electronics, they mesh together and they create this big, bold sound. Michael Barnes' vocals are as great as ever on this one. He really shows off those gut-wrenching screams in the chorus. And the verses, he sounds very, you know, mellow, but very creepy, I guess you can say. And while I don't think the lyrics in this one are very, you know, amazing, they're more surface level than anything else, I don't think they really play a big factor in me enjoying this song. I mainly like this song mainly because of the vocals and, you know, the instrumentation. Same Disease is up next, and this is one I don't see many people talk about, and in my opinion it's very underrated. And I really actually like this song, mainly because of how catchy it is, and I love the way Michael Barnes sings in this one. The song is talking about mainly, I think it's like an internal struggle with someone that's, you know, trying to find someone with the same disease, and I guess it's saying that everybody is infected with this, you know, because we have the ability to do right from wrong, and it's a very cool way to, you know, explain this topic in this song. This one is kind of repetitive a little bit at the end. That's my only really complaint about this one. And it's more simple than anything else that they've done. But it's still a really good song. I just like it because of how catchy it is, really. Hold Me Now comes next, and this is one of the singles that was released for the album. Now this unfortunately is my least favorite off the album for a couple of reasons. One reason is that it's more simple than the rest of the songs, and two, it doesn't really have the same impact that the other songs on the album do have. And it's weird because I really love Not Alone off the last album, but this one, it just kind of falls flat for me a little bit. Now I'm not saying this is a bad song by any means, it's just more middle of the road territory. I mean, the lyrics are very, you know, uplifting, very, you know, Christian based for sure. I have to be in the right mood to be listening to this, to be honest, and it's just not one of my favorites. But I will say the recalibrated version of this song is much better than the original. If We Only is next, and this is definitely by far one of the best tracks off the album. This song definitely feels like a good fit onto End of Silence just because of how distorted the guitars are, and Michael Barnes singing, and the drum work is very phenomenal on this one. It almost sounds like it could be a pop punk song a little bit in some areas just because of the fast-paced drumming that Joe Rickard is doing, and the bass line and the guitar work is very nice in this one, and of course the orchestra, the strings are in this one as well. The strings really elevate the song, especially in the chorus where Michael Barnes is reaching those high notes, he's soaring in there, and the verses help a lot too, especially when you add it with the distorted guitar work, and it makes for a really big, bold sound. The lyrics are talking about, someone that's trying to, get over their past, getting rid of the pain. The chorus is saying, if we only could get over, the pain, let the truth set you free. And, it's saying, a lot of these lines is saying, let it die, letting all the hate, the pride, get out of your system. This is a really great lyrical content on this song as well. That's why it's one of the best songs off the album, and maybe even one of Red's best, in my opinion. Track 8 is So Far Away, and this is probably my favorite song off the album for many reasons. It starts out with a great intro riff and a straightforward drum beat, and then it goes right into the vocals, which sound very angelic for Michael Barnes. The lyrics in this one are very much classic Red in the sense that it's talking about someone that's so far away from someone. It could be about God, it could be about someone that you love. I want to feel it when I mean it, when I say it, can't you hear me at all? Love those lines, especially in the chorus. How can your love be so close when I'm so far away? And it's pretty much just a relatable song for anyone in any place in their life, and pretty much the instruments work well with it. Oh yeah, definitely check out the recalibrated version of this song because the strings really add a lot to it, and I think it's just as good as the original off the album. Next up is Glass House, and this one I feel is very, very underrated. I don't see many people talk about this one, and in my opinion this really feels like classic Red. It's just it sounds a little bit differently than what you expect. The song starts out with a cool kind of guitar and electronic intro, and then it leads right into some strings, and then of course the main guitar riff starts, and then the drum work kicks in, and it starts out with a fury. And of course the vocals for Michael Barnes is phenomenal as always. It really escalates the song, especially in the chorus, and he's very mellow in the verses. And of course, like I said, the instrumentation works very well with the song, and the lyrics add a lot to this song as well. So now we come to the last track off the standard edition, which is called The Moment We Come Alive. Now this one is definitely more of a radio-friendly, hopeful song, but for some reason, I really like this one. It starts out pretty much with a straightforward drum beat and Michael Barnes singing the verses, and the guitar work's very more simple in this one, but then when it gets to the chorus it sounds a little bit more louder, more anthemic, and I love the little lead guitar part that goes on in a couple parts of the song. I really love how they put that in there, and it really adds a lot to this song. Now what I really love about this song is the lyrical message and the vocals for Michael Barnes. He really sounds very passionate in this one, very much genuine, unlike Hold Me Now, which I think is not really as passionate as this one, but this one he really shows off his vocal range. And I love the chorus in this one. It's like saying, so reach the sky, the life we have has come. It's very uplifting, kind of reminds me of The Best Is Yet to Come from Until We Have Faces, and this one really reminds me a lot of that one, and I really love the way the song plays out. So I wanted to go over the 2 bonus tracks that are off the deluxe edition of this album, and the first one I want to talk about is called Love Will Leave a Mark. Now this song is definitely one of Red's most underrated ones for sure. This one, I don't see many people talk about this one, and this one obviously is mainly talking about love, how love will leave a mark if you do it the right way. And I really like the message of this one. Now what stands out most to me about this song is the drum work. It really sounds very off-kilter in the beginning, like in the chorus, and then it gets really rowdy in the bridge and some parts of the chorus and the verses, and Joe Rickard really did a phenomenal job on this one. And it's definitely a great track, definitely if you're into like drumming and stuff. And the guitar work really goes along with it as well. Now my only big problem with this song is that it's really short. I wish they would have made it a little bit longer so it would have been better. But it is what it is. It's still a good song overall. Alright, the last track I want to talk about off this album is called As You Go. This song is definitely underrated, and I don't see why it didn't make the album, because this is, in my opinion, one of the best songs off the album if it made the standard edition. This song is just beautiful in my opinion. I couldn't think of a better song that I want to chill out to, or like I'm trying to sleep. This one will soothe me off to sleep beautifully. I just love the melodies in this one. This is where I believe Red's at his best in their melodies. Even though the music instrumentation's not very, it's not out of the box material, it's very more simple. I just love the message of this song as well, and the vocals from Michael Barnes, just angelic. I can't get enough of this one. Overall, guys, this is a really great album from Red. This album's not perfect by any means. There are a couple songs on here that don't do it for me. The lyrics on here, some of them are kind of more cliche and, you know, surface level kind of stuff. But overall, this album is really great in its lyrical content, and Michael Barnes really shines on this album as well. And like I said, some of Red's best songs are on this album. If you would just listen to it and not listen to what everyone else says about this album, because it's very underrated for sure. And definitely listen to it if you haven't heard it. And if you've listened to it and you don't like it, please listen to it again. You'll find something new on this album that you didn't like before. And Red did a great job on this one. And yeah, if you like the video, like the review, tell me about what I can do to improve my performance on here. And subscribe, comment below what you think about this album. And please give it a listen, and stay tuned for my Beauty and Rage review that'll be coming out sometime next week, I think, and some other reviews that'll be coming out. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.